Welcome, Wrestle Buddies, to the Wrestle Buddy podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, always regular, Jimmy and Nick. How we doing, boys?
Great, mate. Yeah, good day.
I'm making it.
I know, that's why I done a joint intro, Jim, because I thought I'd save your voice a little bit.
Appreciate it.
But, lads, it's been a week, hasn't it? It's been a hell of a week in the world of pro wrestling.
To put it lightly, the whole world's on fire and there's no one willing to put it out.
It just seems like when you think that something is not there, you look again and then it's like bang, bang, bang. But do you not feel like over the last 18 months it's been a bit like that?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, if you go back just a couple of months ago, Vince was nothing. It was nothing but headlines about Vince. And now 4 or 5 weeks later, it's nothing but headlines about this. Before that, it was, I mean, you go back to last September and it was all the stuff about Triple H's health scare just a year ago yesterday. And just
earlier this year, Cody leaving his EVP position.
Cody leaving.
Yeah, it's just been nonstop.
It's just been.
Where is Tyler today?
Tyler's taking a much needed break. Second hardest working man in the biz today.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Obviously, the invisible hand, no one can come close to, can they?
Tyler's making a run for it.
Tyler's trying.
Well, let's get into it then, lads. I think the best place to start is, I know I had a little chat about it the other day, but let's go over it again with the AEW wrestling suspensions. I'm not too sure with this one, Jim. So, like, I've looked at it back and I've looked at it from both sides. From what, obviously, with Punk, I think Punk's getting a bit of a raw end of the deal. I don't like CM Punk, as you both know. It's my own personal opinion of him. But like when I seen his press conference, I was kind of like, okay, well, he's right on certain things, yeah. There's other stuff that I don't believe that he's right on. But do you feel like he's getting the rough deal, Jim, because of the fact that he's the one that had this press conference and stuff, and everything else has kind of happened in the background? So it's not really there for everyone to see.
I won't say that he's getting the raw end of the stick, because I feel like, as much as I agree with a lot of what he was saying, I feel like he might have went a little bit overboard with it, just a tad bit. And as long as the other parties involved are being suspended along with him, then it's all fair in my opinion. If he would have got punished and then you know who shows up on Dynamite like they always do, like nothing happened, then I'd be like, okay, CM Punk's getting the raw end of the stick here, and it's not cool. But I applaud Tony for standing up for once, putting his foot down and doing what I think was the right thing and suspending all the parties involved with it until they figure out exactly what happened.
And Nick, do you feel like this is a come to Jesus moment for Tony, where it's kind of like, I need to get a grip of this now? Because one thing that I have seen is that he's apparently turned around and employed some external investigators to come in and actually investigate what's happened, find out the full story, which is very corporate, isn't it? It's something that you do in a corporate setting. And it seems like for the first time, Tony's kind of taking this seriously and doing it in a way that maybe he should have been doing from the start, you think?
I would certainly hope so. I mean, we give Tony Khan credit when he does something right, but we've all spoken about how most of us think he's an effing idiot. He's handled that company like he's got a toy sack and he's just playing with a load of toys instead of handling it like a true professional. I said the other night on the podcast, even in that press conference, as soon as Punk has said his piece, Tony Khan should have excused himself from that table, gone backstage and handled that business. And now that he appears to finally be taking this seriously and actually doing something from a legal standpoint, at the very least, to find out exactly what happened, to see which parties are responsible and who truly needs to be punished, then it's about time. Like, how the stupid thing is, it's taken an event like this for Tony Khan to finally go, oh, hang on, I might want to do something here.
Yeah. Well, David McIntosh says all parties involved need to be suspended. They have been, David, and I feel like a suspension's one thing, but at the end of the day, a suspension's just to get everybody out the way while there's an investigation takes place. Obviously, you know, there's going to be more that'll come out in this story. Rush, lads, hope you're all well. Yeah, you too, Rush. Good to see you as always, brother. Jim, now, with regards to this, you've seen a lot of stuff flying around about people biting, the fact that apparently the Young Bucks have seen a thing on Facebook about this, which is really funny, where said the Young Bucks kicked his door through and someone said that they slapped the leg as they done it. But then we've heard another side of the story that people have been reporting saying that apparently the Young Bucks just knocked on the door and then Punk just went nuts, which I could believe. I'll be honest with you, Jim. I could believe this.
I don't believe either one of them. There's always three sides to a story. There's the victim side, there's the other victim side, and then there's the real side. And I think what we've heard from both sides probably has some partial truths to them to try and make themselves look better. And unless someone that was in that room is willing to just play it down the middle, which I don't see happening, I think they're going to look at this and be like, well, I better stick up for a certain side here because
there was one person in the room who may call it straight. Mega, Tony Khan's number 2 and chief legal officer, was apparently also in the room. And due to her position in the company, I can't see her fudging the truth. I would assume that she will straight shoot it when it comes to her time to be questioned and actually explain what happened from her side of things, because surely she has to. She's Tony Khan's number 2, and she's the chief legal officer for the company.
So, I think Zane's saying a steel bit Omega and all stories, so I think that's probably true.
Yeah, but I thought the Buck side of the story with Omega was funny. It was that Omega, his only concern during the whole thing was to get the dog out of there. And I find that's where I hear that, and I'm like, come on, man, don't. That's painting yourself to, in my opinion, to be like, come on, man, don't go overboard with this shit.
Yeah, stop it, Kenny. But I mean, one thing that I will say, all in all, is I'm going to ask you this, Jim, very quickly. Do you believe that the EVP status for the Bucks, at least, is still attainable, or do you feel like that's something that's going to have to go?
I look at it, and I touched on this during the CM Punk one we did last week, where I look at back last year when we had a situation where Cody and the EVPs were having an issue. And then it led, we don't know that it led to Cody's exit, but Cody's exit didn't come very much longer after that. And now we're having another issue where someone is stepping up. They're being very vocal about the EVPs doing things that they shouldn't be doing. So in my opinion, based on what off that, I'll say, I don't think they should be in that position as talents. Yeah. I just don't. And
no.
I think we can all look at the tag division, and I'm assuming I would think they have a part in that tag division since they're the tag team and they're the ones that brought in. They've been with this since the start, and they're kind of part of the masterminds behind all this AEW stuff. They have a part in that AEW tag division, and when it's only booked a certain way, when they're at the top, it just kind of, again, it paints a bad picture that maybe shouldn't be painted at all. Maybe what I'm saying is completely asinine, but based on what we see unfolding, I don't think it's crazy for me to have these thoughts. If they weren't in that position, I wouldn't be able to sit here and be like, oh, well, since they're in this position, that's why this is being booked this way. And then you unfold all the other problems, and it's like, yeah, they should. I personally just don't think they should be in that position.
Yeah. David McIntosh agrees with you, Jimmy. Said an active performer, wrestler in any company should be in that position. I mean, Triple H had it, didn't he? But at the same time, I think he had a strong boss there, and I think that's potentially being the problem, Nick, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's the simple fact is, it's like if you go back to Vince Russo's booking, the reason he worked in WWE and he didn't work in WCW is because in WWE he had Vince over his head saying no. Tony Khan needs to be the guy that says no. Right, that's his job. He's supposed to be the be-all and end-all in that company.
Yeah. Okay, let me ask you this question then, right? Vince McMahon was the be-all and end-all because Vince McMahon was a promoter, booker, knew the business inside out. Do you think Tony Khan needs to be the be-all and end-all in that company, or do you feel like he needs to put a structure in place? Because that's what seems to be the issue. There is no structure. There's no creative team. There's no agents working on matches. There's none of this stuff. And to me personally, that's the problem, Nick.
Well, I'd agree with you to a certain extent, but it is his company. And I don't see him willing to step aside. I believe that he should have that structure underneath him.
But does he need to step aside?
I don't know if he needs to step aside. It's more of a case of he needs that structure underneath him.
Let me ask you this question then, right? The Khans, both the Khans own Fulham Football Club, right? Mm-hmm. So does Tony manage that football team? Does he coach them? Does he no. He doesn't. He puts people in place to do that type of thing.
Thank you.
And he looks after the business. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get at, Nick. With the AEW stuff is like he needs to put this structure in place. And the book needs to lie in, but he needs to put people in place who are accountable to him. So if the ratings go down, he can go to a creative guy and say, well, what's going on here? If there's something happens in a match, he can go and say to the agents, well, why did you let them do this? That's what I'm trying to say.
I was saying something similar to this a few days ago. I don't remember who it was to, but I think he should operate AEW like he operates the Jaguars, like he operates Fulham, and like all owners of sports teams operate their sports teams. Whereas he may be a mega fan and he may be really smart with certain things, he doesn't have the knowledge to run the business in the most effective way. Getting people to do that for him while he, if anything, surveys, monitors, learns from some people, maybe he can step in and start taking more roles later on. But with this and Ring of Honor and the Fulham, and he has his hands involved in so many things, it's almost impossible for him to do this as a full-time job if he's doing all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the way I look at it is he needs to be in charge of the corporate structure of AEW. He's a
100%.
corporate-minded man. Let him run the corporate side of the structure. But I do agree with you. There should be, for lack of a better term, general managers, presidents put in place, people who are thoroughly experienced in the professional wrestling industry that can guide him on the way. The fact that he has staff like William Regal, Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, the names go on, that he already has in that company. A lot of these men have got experience in positions of management in wrestling. William Regal is the perfect example. If he could structure that company where these men were given these positions, it'd be a lot more successful.
Okay, yeah, and it looks like now he's actually, I mean, the only thing I'd say is the only corporate thing I've seen him do in AEW, for me personally, I work in a corporate environment, is the investigation that he's doing now. And hopefully this is, as I said before, this is a come to Jesus moment where he kind of realizes, I need to do this properly. Russ says, get in, John Laurinaitis. You just throw petrol in that bonfire, Russ. David McIntosh.
I also want to give Tony Khan credit for another thing here is the Dynamite that we got on Wednesday. I think that was the best way he could have given us a Dynamite following all the shit that happened last week. Yeah. They went out, they focused on doing what they were doing prior to Punk being there. And that's not a knock on like, oh, Punk came and ruined their formula, but it was a formula that worked for them. And they didn't go, they took out some of the shit that we don't like all the afterbursts after every match. I think it was a very clean, decent show, and I think a lot of people were expecting a kind of a dumpster fire. So I think he deserves some credit for that. The show was actually really good, and props to him for it.
Right, Ross says Laurinaitis is my answer forever. David McIntosh says stepping aside, no, but have a team working with him with more than 3 years experience that he has. 100%. Right, okay, well, good little segue to go here then. Dynamite, obviously we got the trios champions, which I thought was the wrong team that got picked to win that. But
thank you.
Agreed.
What I'm more interested in, though, guys, is the tournament. Now, do you believe the right people are in the tournament, Jim?
I'm not against the names in the tournament. The only one I don't understand was Bryan Danielson, because apparently it was a tournament of champions, and he's not a champion. So I don't understand why he was put in at this point.
Apparently, it was from what I seen there, because I had the same thought as you. And I seen a graph, I can't remember where it was, but it was an AEW official one. And it was explaining, like, it says about Sammy Guevara, TNT champion, Darby Allin, yada yada, and it says Brian Danielson, Ring of Honor champion. So I think that's how he's finds a way to kind of shoehorn him into the into there.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'm not agreeing that that's right, by the way, Jim, but that's what I've seen.
It's a bit of a stretch considering he won the Ring of Honor title, what, 15 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a stretch. It should have been Miro, in my opinion. He was former TNT champion. He would have fit nicely in the tournament. He didn't necessarily have to win.
I think Danielson with the name though is probably a good move by them to put him in there.
He does draw mainstream attention.
Yeah. So I do. I'm not kind of mad at the fact that he's being popped in there. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. But I think the other one for me, Guevara, was not really the best choice for me because I don't think he's believable to win it.
No. So, I mean, on the booking of the tournament already, I've said to Jim, and Jim said to me that I think Darby should have beaten Sammy anyway.
Mm.
Darby's a marketable guy. He's one of your four pillars. MJF needs something to replace Punk.
Who do you think wins the tournament?
Honestly, now, Brian.
Do you? I don't.
Unfortunately, Brian. Who do you think's going to win, Moxley?
No, I think Jericho is going to win it.
Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you why. Because Jericho's just going to be a transitional champion for MJF.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think Jericho would be happy with the fact that he'll be known as a two-time AEW champion, and he'll take that kind of pit. He'll take the loss to do it.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm.
Yeah, I can see that. But I've just got a feeling Brian's going to walk it and then do the same job for MJF.
See, I don't think Danielson will, though, because I feel like Danielson will have a title run at some point, and I feel like it's got to be a bit of a long one. Or not a long one, but, more than just a month or so.
Yeah, but how long will MJF drag out that poker chip? I suppose is another question. Will he cash it in as soon as possible, or will they use it more like a Money in the Bank briefcase? Where
I think he needs to. I think he needs to cash it in.
Okay. I think he should cash it in as quickly as possible myself, just because they need something to. What's the word I'm looking for? Solidify their position again. They need something that people will gravitate to and go, oh, that's a good thing, and will make them stop talking about all the fire that's burning down over here. Yeah. That's why I think they need to do it with him, and I don't think Mox is gonna carry that belt again. I feel like, and you know what? Unfortunately for Moxley, I feel like he. The reason you wouldn't put the belt on him now because I think he's too closely associated with Punk. Yeah, unfortunately, the last couple of months has all been about Moxley and Punk, so you do want to deviate away from that as much as possible. Yeah. Especially considering this has been an absolute dumpster fire of a situation. Yeah, and I feel like if you put the belt on Moxley now, I think it'll harm him because I feel like it'd turn around and say, well, we give you the belt, then we took it back off you to give to Punk, and because he's messed up, let's throw it back with you. Yeah, you know what I mean? I don't think it looks good or anything like that. Zane says MJ vs Bryan will be fresh, and Full Gear MJF wins the belt. I could see MJF definitely winning it. I could see MJF winning it Full Gear. Oh, I think MJF's going to win the title on a Dynamite. Oh, okay. In Queens. What? Why Queens? Grand Slam. I think he'll win it. Oh, yeah. I forgot about Grand Slam.
The finals are.
Oops, sorry, Jim. We've lost you there, mate. We can't hear you very well.
I think he said that's when the tournament finals are.
Ah, well, there's nothing stopping MJF pulling the most shit-housey move and just turning around and coming out after the finals and going, right, come on, let's go.
I want my match now. Which is perfect for his character. It fits. There's no there's no MJF wouldn't do that, because yes, he would.
Mox, Zane says, if Mox isn't winning, then why bring him back to take another loss? Let him have his vacation. I feel like he's there, Zane, and he needs to be there. Don't get me wrong, but I just don't feel like he's the one to take the belt forward.
No, Moxley, as he calls himself, has become the heart and soul of AEW. And I think they literally needed him around at the moment to fill that Punk-sized hole on the roster.
Yeah.
They needed, with losing, regardless if you like him or not, losing the Bucks, Kenny, and Punk all at the same time. It's a big hit.
I don't need, do you know what? I'll disagree with you, Nick. I don't think like he needs it there to fill the roster. I feel like he needs it there to talk to the roster. I feel like that's the issue. Like he needs to be there backstage.
Yeah, I can see that.
Here he is. The king is back. Long live the king.
Damn dog.
But no, I was just saying there, Jim, what do you think about this tournament? Who do you think your winner is?
Well, my choice is gone already, so.
Or did you think it was going to be Darby Allin?
I think Darby Allin was a smart choice to go with. And my whole reason, like I said, was you have nothing to lose at this point. And you've been pushing these pillars as the future of your company for 3 years now. Pull the trigger on one. And I know MJF is the one everyone wants to see happen, but wouldn't it be so much cooler to see MJF and Darby Allin, two of your pillars, main event, the next pay-per-view for the world title? I think that's the way you should go here to kind of really
to see Sammy Shithouse winning it.
No. I'm a Sammy fan, but man, the hell that would come with that, I don't think Tony Khan's that dumb. No. But I think there's no better time to emphasize that you're not going to allow someone to come in and destroy what you guys are making than to put it on two guys who have been there since the beginning and have helped build the foundation of this company. With that said, it'll probably be Bryan Danielson winning this. And of all the names on that list, I honestly think he might have been the one I least want to win it.
Well, do you think he wins it and be a transitional champion?
Yeah, absolutely. Whoever wins it is definitely a transitional champion.
Yeah. And that's why I don't believe Mox is going to win. Because I feel like they've already done that to Mox once.
I don't see Moxley winning. I can see Moxley in the final. Because at the moment, it's Blackpool Combat Club versus Jericho Appreciation Society on both sides of the fence. So it's probably going to be a Blackpool Combat Club final.
I still think it's going to be Jericho. I reckon Jericho's going to win it. Because I feel like Jericho is all about, as we all know with him, he's all about the legacy, about the thing. And I feel like just the chance to be a two-time champion would be enough to get him to do it and then do the lay down for MJF.
So that MJF could get that win back that he should have never lost to begin with.
Yeah. But also, as I say, for Jericho, it's a sweetener because he becomes the second two-time champion.
Third.
Yeah. Third?
Sorry.
Punk.
No,
well, Punk was always the champion. He never lost it.
Yeah, he did. He lost at the Mox.
Yeah, in 3 minutes.
Oh, yes, he did, didn't he? Yeah. Interesting.
So Chris Jericho, he might be like, yo, boss, we got to fix that. I got to be a two-timer with them.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
Do you think there's a possibility there's Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho in the finals?
That'd be fun.
That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting to do.
Man, Twitter would go nuts if Sammy Guevara beat Mox, though.
I mean, the other thing we've got to say, well, that's the thing, though, isn't it? Maybe all this will change. Not only will we see it in the way that's like Tony Khan's running the company, but also the way now Tony's like, okay, I need to stop pandering to these Twitter people as well, because let's face it, he's been taking a lot of advice off Kenny and the boys, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He said, though, he's never going to not listen to the fans. He's always going to listen to the fans. So
he can listen to the fans, but it's whether he listens to the fans of Twitter or the fans in general.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is like, for me personally, it's like, how do you determine that? And that's what, the difference, isn't it, than somebody writing on Twitter, or like, for instance, I've seen it shows myself in years gone by where it's like on Twitter they're slamming somebody, you go to a show and they're over as over it can be. Charlotte Flair. Yeah, there you go.
That's the biggest one I've seen.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And that's like, one of the biggest things. Sasha Banks, what's the pop she gets when she comes back?
She gets pretty good pops in the
Yeah,
house shows as well.
and she gets slammed on Twitter all the time. And that's what I'm saying. Maybe Tony just needs to learn a little bit. Mox versus Brian in the finals. Zane says MJF cashes in.
It's not a cash in like the Money in the Bank briefcase, man. It's just you like say, hey, I'm cashing in. I want a match. You don't just be like, I'm just gonna cash in and we're gonna have a match at this very moment. I don't know where this idea came from people. It's never been that way.
But could he not turn around and say I want a match after that match?
I don't know.
If he sets up, do you know what would be intriguing if he done that before, like at the beginning of the show, or like the last Dynamite before the show, and then it was like tournament finals, and then the winner faces MJF. Do you know what I mean?
Be a very
like
Raven-esque
like a continuation of the tournament in a way.
Be a very Raven move, very early ECW.
Yeah. It'd be interesting. Okay, well, David's just repeats what you said there, Jim. It's not a cash-in, but you know, there's nothing stopping him from making that match happen after the tournament finishes, isn't it? Okay, so we've got injuries, and it doesn't seem to be stopping. Christian is out injured again now. We've got Punks who's had surgery. Jim, I tell you, let me ask you one thing straight away. Obviously, you've been out a little bit, mate, so we'll get your thoughts first. Do you think AEW's style needs to change?
I think they need to utilize more of the roster if they don't want to change. Because if you have that many people, then the certain people who are going out there every single week, busting their ass, it won't be as big of a problem if you're utilizing more of the roster to fill out the shows. Don't have Darby coming out there killing himself on Dynamite every single week, and if he's not on Dynamite doing it, he's on Rampage doing it. There's so many more people on that roster that are just begging for an opportunity. Use them, and you don't got to change.
And let me ask you something, Nick. Right? Why do you think we're getting so many injuries on AEW? One thing that really makes me scratch my head is the fact is they don't have a heavy house show schedule or anything like that, but it just seems to be injury after injury after injury.
For me, it's a combination of a few things. One, nobody's producing these matches. So, I'm all for wrestlers calling it in the ring, but there's a certain extent where a lot of these moves that the wrestlers are planning to do are too risky for these matches. You don't need to go balls to the wall every single television show. You should save it for the big pay-per-views. And I think a large problem in AEW is they use, as Jimmy said, they use the same guys every single week. And these same guys are going out there and wrestling a very aggressive style on a weekly basis when they have a roster that they could run like the old territory system where you filtered people in and out as the months went on. So Darby runs for 3 weeks, then Darby goes away for a couple of weeks, and somebody else gets brought in, and somebody else gets brought in.
Where's Ethan Page at?
Exactly. Ethan Page is just stood around, hanging around. What's his face now? Stokely Hathaway, doing nothing. It's difficult to say any particular reason why they're getting injured, but I mean, from what it looks, just from a fan standpoint, looking in, is they go too hard too often for too long, and no human body can take that. They're gonna break down.
I remember, Jim, you said something about that a while back, didn't you? Where it's like it's a normal episode of Dynamite, and they're treating it like pay-per-view matches every week.
Yep, that's what am I expecting to see on a pay-per-view if I'm already seeing it on live TV every single week? Like, exactly. And again, I know the conversation is dumb to bring it up, but again, that's why we all loved most of the WWE pay-per-views we've seen this year, is because when they let them actually wrestle, it was far different than what we were seeing on Raw and Dynamite and SmackDown. And you can argue with me all day that Raw and SmackDown weren't your cup of tea or anything like that, but the wrestling, you appreciated it so much more because it wasn't just in your face every show.
No, but when I went to Clash of the Castle, it's like, for me, Clash of the Castle was exactly what it's been kind of like all year, especially on the B pay-per-views where it's more wrestling focused, and every match was 9 minutes plus.
Yeah.
On that pay-per-view. It was great. Absolutely great. You know, and the crowds were there in the palm of their hands the whole way through it. Apart from the Liv and Shayna match. I swear to God, it died to death during that whole match. Nobody was interested.
you could use that pay-per-view as the perfect example. The only 5-star match that was given from last weekend was Gunther versus Sheamus. Wasn't an AEW match; it was a WWE match. Because
do you know that's only WWE's 16th 5-star match ever?
Isn't it the first one since Cena and Punk?
Yeah. Which is ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Like,
hey, you know what?
Brian Danielson wrestled
rare though. I don't think that's ridiculous. I think they should be this rare. I think other ones getting so many is the ridiculous thing.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I'd agree with that.
That's it. Well, talking about WWE, Bobby Fish apparently is open to a return to WWE. Nick, do you feel like there's a place for him there?
As a trainer and as a producer, yeah, I love Bobby, but Bobby is 40-something years old at this point. Yeah. Bobby is one half of a very successful tag team who has never been particularly successful as a singles wrestler. I think he's got a lot to offer as, say, an NXT and Performance Center trainer who occasionally works in NXT to help elevate a talent, but I do not see Bobby Fish on the main roster, if that's what you're asking.
What do you think, Jim?
I think there's a chance you might put him with Roderick Strong, or you could bring him in and put him with Roderick Strong again. But if anything, make him a trainer. He went cuckoo for some reason over the past week, man. I don't know what it was. He just, I don't know. He's trying to, I guess, get his name out there. And
I don't know though, because I read what he was saying, and to be fair, I'd be pissed off if I was him as well.
About what, though?
It was like Punk when he wrestled Punk. And
okay, did you see what he did at the end of that Punk match though? I think I'd be mad if I was Punk too, when he decided, I'm going to kick out right at 3 to make your move look like shit.
Yeah, okay,
so Punk approached him after that and was like, yo, what's the deal with that? Yeah. I think he's right in doing so. That's just me. That's not the Punk fan. That's just me as a person watching being like, yo, that's kind of fucked up.
Well, I'll hold my hands up with that one, mate. I agree with you because I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was 100% right. Well, talk about WWE. Let's keep over the thing saying Young Bucks sent the feelers out to WWE, apparently. Don't really know where this one's come from or what the thing. Jimmy, go.
No, it ain't it. I will say this. If it does happen, that I don't know, man. That would be crazy. But we didn't think Cody was going to do it either, and he did it. And before all this happened, I heard the rumor that Triple H had apparently offered them like $1 million contracts to come over there. And then they turned them down. They bet on themselves, and we got AEW. So good on them for that, whatever. But I think it would be really funny if they when did they send these feelers out? This week? Is that what this was?
This is the thing.
If they did it after being suspended, that just goes to show you what kind of babies they would be. But again, I don't know. That's just such a wild theory.
This is the thing.
Sorry, Nick. Just let me ask you this question before you reply to that, because I want you to get the answer to this as well. If you're the Bucks, right? If AEW take away your EVP status, right, and you're looking at just a contract as a wrestler, would WWE be more attractive to you then?
Possibly. I see it as this isn't really. I mean, if they, like Jimmy said, if they did it after the suspensions, it's a bit childish. But if these are just reports from feelers that were sent out a while ago, I'd say it's the Bucks just making sure they've got leverage on their contract.
They're very smart people.
How long have they got on the contract left? Does anyone know?
2025.
I thought it was 2026, but then I saw the other day it was 2024, which didn't make sense because I know they just signed a long contract. I'm not sure.
I think it's 2025.
I know they're not dumb, and obviously they've marketed themselves brilliantly without the backing of like a major promotion up until a few years ago. Yeah. So if they did this during the contract negotiations, I mean, I think that's a smart move on their behalf. It helps get you more money.
Yeah.
If they're doing it again just because they're upset over being suspended, again, that's that's wild. Just the idea of them in the WWE kind of that makes me sick, though. I don't want to see them there.
I think they'd have a great match with Pretty Deadly in NXT. Because if I was Triple H, I'd lash them straight down to NXT.
I mean, I'd bring them. I wouldn't hate I would hate seeing them on the TV, but I wouldn't hate the idea of them because at the end of the day, it's a business and they're going to make money. And if you bring the Young Bucks in, you're going to make money with the Young Bucks. So
I mean,
I get the decision if they did do it. I just don't.
The one thing I wouldn't like, do you know what? I wouldn't like it because it's the Bucks. But the one thing, if there's like, you know, you're looking at it from a glass half full point of view, is if WWE go out and get the Bucks or the Bucks negotiate with them, whatever it may be, if they are putting money into bringing the Young Bucks in, then they've got to back the tag team division, which they haven't done in a long time.
Exactly.
So that's where I'd be thinking, okay, well, we're off to the races then.
Do they though?
Well, realistically, yeah, because if they bring in the Bucks, Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson on their own, nobody gives a crap about.
Yeah.
When you put them together,
you could still just book them the same way you book the New Day now, though. You don't have to like. I understand we want the tag division to be better, 100%. I'm not. I'm just saying, like, just because you brought them in doesn't mean things got to change. I don't think they're.
Don't you think they'd want it if they just on the off chance that they did come in? Don't you think they'd want it in their contracts that the tag team division was going to get focused on?
Okay, well then just stay over in AEW and focus on your own.
Yeah.
We're not going to change shit just for you guys. I mean, we'd like to have the money you guys bring in, but we're going to do what we're going to do. And if you don't like it, you have options.
But that's what I mean, though. I feel like if it does happen, that'll be WWE making a statement to say we're going to go into that tag team division and we're going to make it better.
They're there until 2026. So by the time this rolls around, the tag division will already be fixed because Triple H does good tag team wrestling.
Yeah. And where did he get
NXT takeovers? If you don't know, you're going to know. Watch them.
Right, okay, well, there's another thing here about Meltzer trying to cover up the controversy in AEW by saying it was all planned. I don't think that's quite correct, though, to be honest, that statement. I feel like it was more of apparently it was the Punk planned it himself.
So I've heard.
Right, what I read was, and this was a quote from Meltzer's own words, was apparently the way Punk stated his he's on his promo, it was like he practiced it beforehand. And I've noticed a lot of these websites spinning this as though Meltzer's trying to say it was all the controversy was all planned. He didn't say that at all. No. He turned around and stated that Punk looked like he'd rehearsed that. Do you know what I mean?
You're good at promos. It tends to look like you rehearsed it.
Yeah. So I don't think there's a lot to that thingy.
I think Punk had planned on calling out certain things here 100%. Do I think he sat at the house and wrote this shit down and was like,
no,
I'm gonna read it word for word just like this and I'm gonna really put these people. No, not at all. I just think he was like, you know what, I've heard enough. I'm finally gonna address some of these things. If I come across as an asshole, so be it. Everyone already thinks I'm an asshole, so what does it matter? And that's what happened.
That's it. Right, guys, we're at the stage where we do any other business. So Nick, first from you, any other business?
No, just really that the Buddy Wars will be taking a 2.5 week break starting tomorrow because I am going on holiday and there were scheduling conflicts. So Tyler has got to bye to the semi-finals. Conspiracy. It is not a conspiracy, Jim. You've been going on about this for weeks. Card
is a movie already in place, bud. You can't stop it now.
Card is subject to change. Buddy Wars will be returning on the 3rd of October.
Awesome. Jim, any other business from yourself?
Just go subscribe to my YouTube channel, Drip King of Wrestling. I got a podcast on tonight with the main man, Tidy. We just talk about positive stuff, no negative. Negativity nonsense going on. So check that out.
And make sure you do, because if you're not, people who don't subscribe to the Drip Kings channel sit down to we. It is a proven scientific fact.
Actual fact.
Yeah. Guys, make sure as well, Wrestle Buddy's expanding. It's actually just today. We've had the launch of the new Geek Buddy website, which will run alongside Wrestle Buddy. So if you want to go and get your geek on, movies, anime, gaming, all that good stuff, guys, head over to Wrestle Geek. Jesus Christ.
Geek Buddy.
Geekbuddy.com and go and check it out. The Geek Buddy is on Twitter. But make sure you go over and check that out. And thank you for everybody who supports us because we appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you check out the Drip Kings recaps Be back tomorrow.
Just a Raw recap.
Just a Raw recap.
Dynamite is on hiatus.
And SmackDown will be starting in 3 weeks.
Happy days. Good stuff. Well, Russ, thanks for watching, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you to everyone. Appreciate every single one of you guys. But from me, Jimmy and Nick, we'll see you same time, same place next week. But from us, take care.
Bye. Where's my outro?